It's the SKOR North Twins Show.
Oh, bonus SKOR North Twins Show content. We had a full show on Thursday, yesterday, where I talked to Mackie and Judd about the Ishbia sale, the pros, the cons of that, plus a random twin of the week, which Mackie stole from me in an era that I got to get. If I had Gio Urshela, I got to get Gio Urshela.
And then he signed yesterday.
Yeah.
With the Athletics of nowhere.
Wow.
The unaffiliated now. They don't use Sacramento.
It's weird, though, but in the schedule it says SAC, doesn't it? Like it just.
Oh, does it? It's not supposed to.
Oh, is
it's
it?
not what they wanted.
Right.
They did not want to be affiliated with that, despite the fact. And here's the sad thing to start the show. The Athletics are spending way more than the Twins right now.
Oh, yes. Yes, they are. Speaking of that, we're jumping on here because a couple newsworthy items. Number one, we're going to start with the Pablo Lopez nugget that came out from Jeff Passan yesterday. We'll also say goodbye to one of the longest tenured Twins players in Max Kepler. Judd was very emotional last night when he got that news. So we'll also touch on that. Hit the like button, subscribe button, by the way. I know the Twins haven't been doing much of anything this offseason, but we're still pumping out content. So if you are watching this, or maybe the first time, or you have been watching, you haven't hit the like button and subscribe button, please do to help spread the word about the SKOR North Twins Show. My name's Declan Goff. I'm the beat podcaster. I was able to cover the Twins last year. That's Judd Zulgad. He sometimes rubs elbows with me and throws some fastballs in the clubhouse as well. So hit the like button, subscribe button here on the SKOR North Twins Show. Okay, Judd. So Jeff Passan yesterday, the Passan Bombs. He released a little bit of a blurby article on ESPN Plus, just talking the state of free agency post-winter meetings. And also in this article was the trade market. So baseball has actually had a phenomenal offseason in terms of movement for the first time in, 5 or 6 years? I mean, we haven't seen this much movement. Yeah. Obviously, Juan Soto signed pretty early. You're seeing guys fly off the board. Even Cody Bellinger and Devin Williams get traded this week. So it's not just free agency. Trades have been hot. It's been great for baseball.
Crochet got traded from the White Sox to the Red Sox. Yeah, absolutely.
Nolan Arenado denied a trade. I mean, we've seen a ton of movement this year, which has been great. And I have a little bit of a rant on that in a little bit. But the headline here is in this article, when talking about the trade market, Passan, maybe one of the biggest insiders in baseball, says some of the biggest names bandied about come with some complications. 3-time All-Star Luis Castillo has been dangled by Seattle in multiple scenarios, but wields a no-trade clause. Same with Carlos Correa, owed $128 million over the last 4 years of his deal with Minnesota. The Twins have listened on right-hander Pablo Lopez, and if free agent pricing remains stratospheric, perhaps they'll go beyond the listening stage. So there's on the record that they're listening on offers on Pablo Lopez. And I saw two different reactions to this. Number one, how dare the Twins even think about trading their ace, which is a conversation. And the other one is, why are people even regurgitating the fact the Twins are listening on offers to players? They listen to players on offers to players all the time. Let me break down where we're at and why myself and other people are throwing out that they're listening to offers of their star players. I don't know if you forgot about this, but about 14 months ago, when the Twins were coming off their most successful season in 20-plus years, the ownership said, we're slashing payroll. We're not adding to its most successful and fun team they've had in 20-plus years. Then you had a TV kerfuffle that no one was able to watch. Then you had a trade deadline that you didn't add to. Then you had one of the most historic collapses in team history. Then you had the current owner say, we're not going to add to payroll, it's going to remain the same. Then the owner said, we're going to sell the team. And then, because we're not going to be adding players, other teams are going to start calling the Twins saying, well, your most expensive players are up for trades. We'll talk. We'll listen to all those trades. Of course, Derek Falvey's going to listen to all those trades. But when you have handcuffed yourself and said, we're not adding to this team, and you have very highly paid players who are very good in Carlos Correa and Pablo Lopez getting calls on, that is worth a discussion, especially if your team is not adding to it when the state of baseball free agency in the offseason has been at the best it's been in 5-6 years. That's my rant there.
Yeah, no question. And look, like I guess if I was going to use 2 words to to sort of help Twins fans, or I should say Twins fans who are left, because like we're probably talking to a, unfortunately for us, smaller audience than we were previously because there's a lot of people that have bailed. I would use these two words: be prepared. Be prepared. Like, and here's the thing too is on the passing report, because I saw the pushback too. Number one, just because you don't like a report doesn't mean it's not worth doing the report. Like Jeff Passan's not some slappy in his mom's basement, as folks like to paint the bloggers. Jeff Passan is plugged in as anyone, and if he's told something, it's at least happening.
Yeah.
And so he's not spitballing. Like it would be interesting just to read. I wonder if the Twins are shopping Pablo. But then I get the pushback of, well, but they're not. I don't think they are. Well, this means that there are calls coming in. The call is coming from inside the house. And so I be prepared for that. And just because you don't like the report doesn't mean that the report's not accurate. And the other thing is, be prepared for the fact that this team is. I think there's a very good chance, and this is just me spitballing, that they're going to have their opening day payroll will be less than it was last year. Mm-hmm. Like this whole thing, because they have, right now they're over what they were last year. They want to get back to last year, but if you're going to get back to what you were at last year for accounting purposes, it's probably going to take a trade of somebody who's going to take more off the payroll than like the intended consequence, right?
Yes.
So be prepared, folks. And the Correa thing, that's not floating around because it's nothing. Things don't float around to people like Passan because they're nothing. They float around as feelers. Like every executive in Major League Baseball reads Jeff Passan. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, I'd like to be worked up about this too, but it is what it is at this point.
Yeah.
Like this is a team that's clearly trying to right size its business to sell it. And so I think any hope that this team is going to have a change of heart as long as the Pohlad name is on the business card as owner is foolish. It's not going to happen.
By the way, Pablo Lopez making $21.7 million this season and for the next 3 seasons. His contract extension jumps up in value and price, and Carlos Correa is making $37 million. So some St. Cloud math here. That is just shy of $60 million. Right. That is committed to 2 players. Now, one of them, in Correa, has battled a ton of injuries. Pablo's a horse. Pablo's a staff ace. Just first and foremost, I am against trading Pablo Lopez. I wouldn't trade Pablo Lopez. Am I surprised, though, due to the state of the starting pitching market, due to the state the Twins have said we're slashing payroll, that they're wielding calls and could entertain the idea of trading Pablo? Yeah, that doesn't surprise me either. I think the Twins are best served with Carlos Correa and Pablo Lopez on their team on opening day in 2025. That's my goal. I want the Twins to have both these guys on there. But it does not shock me that these 2 dudes, the highest paid players on the team, are getting calls on. I mean, what do you think, Judd? Would you entertain trading Pablo Lopez? Do you like Pablo Lopez as their staff ace? I mean, I've spent a lot of time with him. I know you've been in the clubhouse before too. He is the ace of this staff. He's a very intellectual, very hyper-focused type of guy, which I appreciate. I think losing him would cause some problems in the clubhouse in terms of just leaning on Pablo for advice and how to go about pitching and how to approach things. I mean, where do you kind of stand if they were to trade Pablo Lopez?
Well, I don't like the idea at all, but I'm prepared for them to do it, and I'm prepared for them. Like if Correa's gone. And Correa does have a no trade, but here's the thing with both Pablo and Carlos that I think is worth mentioning. Both of them were signed at a very different time now in Twins history. Both of them were signed when this team was, I think, far more intent on being competitive. And now they're not. But I don't like the idea. On the surface, I don't like the idea of trading either one because it weakens you. And you can get prospects. Well, that's great, but those prospects aren't going to help you immediately. And you've got prospects, by the way. You got a prospect pipeline. Like you should be, if we were dealing with a functional baseball team, Dex, this show should be about trading prospects for immediate talent to bolster a team that looks like it should be on the rise. Mm-hmm. But why I'm so skeptical is they're not treating it like that. But no, I mean, I don't like the idea of trading either one. I am fully prepared for them to do it. Like, it will not surprise me. But that's why, we've gone back and forth about what the expectations are, because, I mean, this team does have some talent, and we've gone back and forth about that. But my expectations, and I think this is part of the problem, are so low right now because I don't trust them to operate in a manner of, hey, we've got these prospects, let's potentially trade one or two of them, add more big league, talent right now, and then really make a run. It feels like that is a non-starter. And it's weird too, because they definitely have looked at, like, and this was brought up last year, but they definitely have looked at, like, what the Rays did in the past. Now the Rays are not replicating that right now. But they've definitely looked at what the Rays did in the past, and I think Falvey probably looks longingly at what Cleveland can do. Because there's been a lot of years, the last 2 years or 3 years, where we're like, oh, Cleveland's going to fall off the table, and then, oh my God, they got pitching, right? And they're competitive. If not a playoff team. But I don't trust these guys that they're smart enough to do either one of those things. I just don't. So, unfortunately, I'm fearing the worst. I do not want the worst to happen because it's going to detract even more from the interest in this team, which right now is cratering probably.
Yeah. The Twins are in a spot here where, like, hey, if you wanted to trade Pablo Lopez, which again I'm against, like, look, Bailey Ober, Joe Ryan are solid options at top of rotation. I mean, you saw guys like David Festa take an opportunity and run with it last year. Simeon Woods Richardson had a very solid year.
Sure.
Chris Paddock's been on the trade block. In fact, of anyone that will be traded, it probably still is Chris Paddock. But you could be okay with the fact of trading him if you really believe in guys like Ober and Joe Ryan, and then those two other rookies that have stepped up. Zebby Matthews still in that conversation too. But the Twins have yet to show they can replicate and duplicate, probably is the better word, the Guardians and Rays type of plans where when guys hit the arbitration numbers or hit their contract extension numbers, they flip them, and their pipeline and their system is able to replace them. I mean, the Rays signed Tyler Glasnow to an extension, and then traded him because the extension kicked in. But the Rays have done that forever. The Guardians have done that forever. The Twins, if they want to do that, and if they're successful at continuing to build up this pipeline, like we saw last year with Simeon and David Festa, et cetera, okay. But that's year one of doing that. And they've done a good, like, they acquired Joe Ryan. That was a great trade. They developed Bailey Ober. That's great development. I think the Twins are actually tracking in a closer direction than they ever have been to doing that, but they have yet, in my opinion, to at least earn the respect and trust to continue that plan. And they're too good right now on paper to subtract from their team by trading someone like Pablo or Correa. But listening to those offers does not shock me one bit.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to Pablo and Correa, the reality is Pablo is probably far easier to trade. Like, my guess is Pablo's name is now floating around because to trade Carlos, one, he has to waive the no trade, which he might do, but two, he's got, I mean, we're still going to go back to the fact that his leg's a ticking time bomb. And Pablo has no such problems. But yeah, what you said at the top of the show, or near the top of the show, I think is right too. Like, one, it's a clubhouse thing, and this clubhouse is coming off a very difficult second half. Like, that was a fracturing clubhouse. Pablo is a thinker. Pablo is a very smart guy, a professional. That would also mean it's back-to-back years that you have eliminated, really, in one case, in losing Sonny Gray to the Cardinals, a bulldog mentality, right? Yep. And I mean, that was a guy that loved pitching and was probably just a great exemplary pitcher for a lot of the young guys. Now he's gone. Pablo, in his own way, is probably a really good influence. Now he might be gone. So I think the Twins' timing here would absolutely suck. But again, if you're talking about, so like let's go back to the guys they want to trade, okay? So they want to get their payroll back down by trading Paddock. Well, I would also like a lot of things in life that people don't want. Like, I would like someone to come and pick up all of the stuff in my garage that I don't use now and say, I would love this, and here, I'll give you a lot of money for it. But it's not going to happen. So, like, Chris Paddock, yeah, he might be traded, but he's going to be, that's a hard trade. Like, and we could talk about, well, now he's a full year recovered from his second Tommy John. Oh, so this is all to me trending towards they're probably going to have to trim a large part of payroll from one player because this, hey, we're going to have a garage sale idea. While on the surface sounds, oh, that's great. Paddock's gone now. It's not nearly that simple.
No, it's not. Hey, by the way, the Minnesota Golf Show is coming up. You can get your tickets right now by going to mngolfshow.com. Tickets are just $10 now through New Year's Eve. You can also extend your foursome when you buy 4 tickets. The 5th is free. mngolfshow.com. It's a great time. We're always out there throughout that weekend, too. It's going to be a great time. I love the golf show.
Johnny
I'm
Randall.
excited for it. Johnny Randall's our ambassador this year, which is very exciting.
Look forward to talking to Johnny. He is always an entertaining guy. Years ago, Declan, years and years ago, when I was doing Viking Update freelance stuff, player profiles in the locker room at the old place in Eden Prairie, he looked at me and said, "Hey, Eddie Munster, what are you doing here?" The great line. He said, "I look like there's an old school character."
I know Eddie Munster.
The slick back hair. Yeah,
yep,
he said,
slick back.
"Hey,
yep, I can see
Eddie
that.
Munster."
Eddie Munster.
So that was a very good line. I actually said that's really good.
That's pretty good. mngolfshow.com to get your tickets. Before we wrap here on the SKOR North Twins Show, this little extra innings episode, Max Kepler, pour one out. Max Kepler signing a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia Phillies. 1 year, $10 million. And
it's the Darnold deal. He got the Sam Darnold special.
Yeah, he did. It is interesting because I believe Alec Marsh is like their everyday right fielder. Kepler really has never spent time in left. He's opposed to playing positions like center field. Yeah. So I don't know. Brandon Marsh plays left field. Nick Castellanos spent some time in right.
Alec Braum, right?
Alec Braum has spent some time third. And also I think the corner. So like very interesting fit here for Kepler. Kepler, though, wraps up a pretty lengthy career with the Twins. Signed when he was 16 years old, obviously, from Germany. But he was a free agent. We expected him to kind of leave. He's coming off a down year where he battled a bunch of injuries. He had a huge year in 2019 where he got MVP votes, 36 home runs in that Bomba Squad year. And, Kepler, an above-average fielder, a very streaky hitter, a lot of pull-side ground ball outs. But not a surprise to see him be plucked away from another team. But how will you remember the Max Kepler era? What do you remember from Max Kepler the most, Judd?
A guy who I could never decide if he really liked baseball. I think he was talented. There's no question about that. But, I could never decide from his demeanor if he really liked the sport or he just found a sport that he was good at, and so he played it. And clearly he's going to make a ton of dough. Good for him. I also think he probably picked one of the... If he was to have asked me, if he was to have said, "Sports Dad, rank the 3 worst places I could go," Philadelphia would be near the top of that list.
Oh, boy.
Like, if he's playing in Philadelphia and he goes through the cycles that he did here, here they just sort of, blew it off. I mean, it's like, whatever. That's Kepler. In Philadelphia, they'll boo your ass. And I don't think he likes that.
No.
He's a guy that I would have, and he might not have had a lot of options here, but he's a guy who I would have strongly suggested head way south or head west. Red Sox, Phillies, Yankees, East Coast. If he'd gone east, if he was going to sign with a team in Pennsylvania, I would have said, just sign with the Pirates, dude. I think the Pirates won't care.
You would have been a good Pirate.
Well, and everybody, you know what, too? If you go through the entire cycle, right? Guys like Kepler usually get cups of coffee in one of 3, if not all 3 places. Pittsburgh, right? Mm-hmm. Kansas City, right? Because, you can easily be... And like now, unfortunately, the 3rd place is the Twins.
Yeah.
Don't want to be in that group, but the Twins are sort of fitting the profile. I'm surprised Cleveland didn't sign him just because he's always mashed in Cleveland, it feels like.
Yeah, it's also true. I mean, I'll regurgitate what I said on Twitter. For Phillies fans, maybe consume the SKOR North Twins Show podcast for whatever reason, or maybe you're consuming this because you want to know more about Max Kepler. Here's what you'll get from Max. You're going to get a month where he's legitimately one of the hottest hitters in baseball, hitting a bunch of home runs, hitting for average, hitting for power. draws walks, doesn't strike out a lot. You're going to get 6 weeks where he's hitting 150 and playing every single day. And I don't know if your manager will tolerate this, but here at least, you'll get about 4 to 5 series a year where he's not on the injured list, but is not healthy enough to play, hence taking up an active roster spot. That's going to be your Max Kepler run in a nutshell.
The Phillies will.
Here.
The Phillies will stash him though. The Twins have a really, going back to Terry Ryan, the Twins have this annoying history of that.
Very strange.
I think if Kepler in Philadelphia says I can't play, they'll be like, okay, see you in 12 days, dude. 10 days, 12 days.
1,000 plus games for Max Kepler. Hit 161 home runs / 237, 318, 429. That was your 10-year career, Max Kepler.
What was the series in Cleveland? Was it the Trevor Bauer he homered 3 times off of? Or he definitely hit 3 home runs in a game, and I think Bauer started for Cleveland.
Yep.
That's probably my most memorable Max Kepler game.
He also had, I don't think he's the franchise. He might be the franchise leader in walk-off hits. He's had a bunch of walk-off hits. He did come in.
I think you're right. I think he might have. I think he might have moved into that
this last year.
Last year, yep.
Yeah,
Anyway,
so he does have a flair for dramatic.
Best of luck in Philadelphia, dude. You couldn't have picked a worse spot to go to for your own mental health. They will ride you.
There you go. There's a little extra inning episode of the SKOR North Twins Show. Twins listening to offers on Pablo Lopez and Carlos Correa and Christian Vasquez and Chris Paddock and Royce Lewis and everyone else.
You wouldn't trade Christian. I mean, you're having a garage sale.
Yeah. We will stop doing podcasts because other people are saying the Twins are listening on. We will just not do them because it's not worth.
Yeah, Jeff Passan. Get out of your mother's basement, or your parents' basement, wherever you are, whatever basement you're in, and get a real job, Jeff Passan.
At least I'm on the top floor here. I don't have a basement. Hit the like button, subscribe button on the SKOR North Twins Show. Appreciate everyone consuming the podcast. We'll be talking at you next week.